Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today's video looks at the top 3 reasons why cricket bat prices have gone up so much in the last few years. So at number 3 of why cricket bat prices have gone up so much is the fact that sponsorship and marketing costs have gone up considerably for brands to have their products used by players and endorsed by players in the market. Now, this is obviously in relation to the increase in social media awareness and the internet, whereas if you compared it to maybe even 20, 25, 30 years ago, players and brands got exposure mainly through either if their games were televised or if their performances were highlighted in a newspaper article or magazine publication whenever they came out. Hence, what players can demand now in terms of sponsorship fees and what they're after is considerably more and in many ways in proportion to the exposure they give to the brand, when this particular exposure is pretty much instantaneous on social media and it can be in front of millions straight away. Now, reason number 2 is the fact that cricket bat making is a very skilled art. As we live in a much more knowledge-based economy, not many people are coming through who would find bat making as something of a profession, and they would take other more knowledge-based roles rather than manual skilled roles like bat making. This means that a lot of the big brands nowadays have specific bat makers who may have been there 20, 30 years, but they may not have the succession plan in place, or they might find it very hard to have a succession plan in place to replace the existing bat makers once they retire or move on. Hence, because of the labor shortage, the costs of labor have gone up considerably as well, and that's also led in part to the increase in bat prices. But I feel the number 1 reason of why bat prices have gone up so much is the explosion of T20 cricket in the last 20 years. In 2003, when T20 was first introduced into the adult cricket game in England, cricket generally up to then was either played over a 5-day period or 50 over ODI games. These were naturally long form games. Even the 50 over ODI game took a whole day to complete, whereas the T20 game, when it came in 2003, meant that games would be done and dusted within 2.5–3 hours. What this led to was an increase in participation levels across the board, and it also meant that there was much higher demand for cricket bats generally at all levels of the game. What T20 also introduced was the focus on having big, chunky bats which could hit a mile but would weigh as light as a feather. So what that meant was bat makers started air drying bats a lot more. Hence, what you get nowadays are really big, thick bats, but ones that don't weigh a lot. So what this does is it makes the bats a little more brittle, and they may not last as long because, one, the pressing is not as heavily done as it used to. So you have lighter, bigger bats, but they're also softer generally, which means that they won't last as long as they may be used to 20, 25, 30 years ago. I've got an example here of a cricket bat used by Chris Gayle. He used it just for 9 balls, and it's a bit of an extreme example. Because pro cricketers normally have 10–12 bats in their bag at a time. So they don't need bats to be knocked in and prepared as much as someone who's purchasing a cricket bat to be used for season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and so on. So this is a bat that was used by Chris Gayle for 9 balls in a T10 tournament. And as you can see, it's got, if you can see, just the cracks, not surprisingly, are right in the sweet spot. And this was only used for 9 balls. And this shows that if the bat's not pressed heavily, and if it's used by obviously anyone who hits the ball hard, like Chris Gayle does obviously, it can start breaking up really quickly because English willow is softwood and it needs to be pressed and prepared properly. If you look at the size of the bat as well, this is a 2.9, and for a 2.9 it's absolutely massive. So that sort of bat is used by pros who get given 10–12 bats to use and to get as much exposure as possible, which would perform like an absolute bullet. But the issue will remain that they won't last you even clearly 9 balls, as this Chris Gayle bat shows. So as demand has increased for cricket bats, what it's also meant is that trees are being cut down much sooner than they used to be in the past. So you see this in a lot of grade 1–2 bats, which normally would have had 12, 13, 14 grains in the past, nowadays are coming in at 7, 8, 9 grains. The focus now, and it's always been in the top grade bats, is the structure of the grains. So even if a bat has 8 grains, it would still be the structure of the grains being evenly spaced out, them being straight from top to bottom, no blemishes, all that sort of stuff. So these sorts of things come in a bit more handy when you're looking at bats now. So if you do find a bat which is 12, 13, 14 grains, the main thing still to focus on would be the grain structure. Hence, because the demand is outstripping the supply of cricket willow, that means that naturally there will be an increase in price of cricket bats. 20 years ago, in 2003, grade 1 bats used to be around 150 to 170 pound mark. Now you can get grade 1, very top end grade 1 bats touching £1,000 plus. These are the kind of things you need to bear in mind when purchasing a cricket bat. There are reasons behind why cricket bat prices have gone up. Some are very obvious and some can be debated, and there are obviously a myriad of other reasons why this has happened, and this has been the case across the board. We feel that the top 3 reasons for cricket bat prices going up are marketing, a shortage of skilled bat makers, and the number 1 reason is the explosion and demand of cricket bats, especially after the advent of short form cricket like T20 and nowadays even T10. All of this makes it even more important for you to come in and try bats out as much as possible before you purchase them. This is quite an important thing. We try and help customers out wherever we can, where if they cannot come in, we still try and handpick the best possible bat for them, because we know it takes a lot of money and time and effort to do this for the customer. So we're happy to help out as much as we can. So I hope you found this video useful. Please leave a comment below on why you think cricket bat prices have gone up so much. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.